Ripley.
And I'm John.
And this is Comicsplaining,
The show where I have special eyes.
Look with your special eyes. They have your brand.
My brand!
specialized derogatory.
Unfortunately, yeah, I have astigmatism in one eye. So really, it's more like special eye.
You have a special eye.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound as good.
I also have astigmatism in both eyes, so
You have special eyes.
you're in good company.
So between the three of us, half of our eyes have astigmatism.
But it took you like literal years to get an eye doctor to actually give you glasses for your astigmatism.
Well, here's the thing about that. I had a diagnosis for astigmatism, and then I lost my diagnosis for astigmatism, and then I regained my diagnosis for astigmatism.
As these things happen.
So as I lost my diagnosis for astigmatism for like a year or two there, at nighttime, my vision would like double on curves at night. That was very fun when I was driving, by which I mean terrifying.
Yeah, that sounded terrifying.
We
did not enjoy that.
We did spend some time discussing this, and when I told you about the starbursts that come off of lights at night.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was like, oh, yeah, that. I know about that.
I do not know about that.
You know how at night, like headlights on cars and all the lights basically have like these strands coming off of them?
A little bit.
That's caused by astigmatism.
I know of, I know the normal healthy amount of that, and I've seen the pictures of what people with astigmatism look like, and that's not me.
Yeah. Well, I have that really bad. But yeah, you got new glasses and you're better?
Seeing better, still not seeing perfectly, but honestly, if you need me to, I could probably switch these monitors back around.
No, you're good.
Cool.
I'm fine either way.
Well, you're right in the middle, so that makes perfect sense.
It does, doesn't it?
Let's see, we also just finished Iron Man Armored Adventures.
It's no good, don't watch it.
Well, it was good until it wasn't.
So prepare to be disappointed.
Like the last 3 episodes maybe.
When they just ripped off Avengers.
Well, no, it wasn't just that. It was, the writing was just bad.
Oh, they just ripped off Joss Whedon.
No. That was just the last episode. The ones before that were also bad for different reasons.
That is true.
It's just the writing itself that...
It was lazy and bad and full of unfunny one-liners. It was full of quips that either weren't funny or didn't make sense or didn't even function as a quip.
Okay, let me rephrase. They ripped off Joss Whedon without understanding how Joss Whedon writes.
Yeah. I guess I could agree with that. It was like, there was a lot of one-liners and quips that I only knew were supposed to be one-liners because they were delivered as one-liners. Otherwise, I would not. Like, it was just a normal line that was being delivered as a quip.
Well, that's no good.
It was very bad. The rest of the show is good. Don't watch the end.
Yes, watch it until the end. If it starts getting bad, stop.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure, it will leave you with a cliffhanger on the actual plot that you've been following over the entire show, but really, who cares?
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
It's not like you are going to have a satisfactory conclusion.
No.
Anyway.
The ending is not satisfactory and kind of is Deus Ex Machina.
So what? Basically, when Jean leaves is a good place to stop watching?
No.
That's hard to know.
Jean left, like...
No, I mean the first time.
Yeah, I know. Jean left in, like, the beginning of the season.
Okay, I mean at the end of the season when he left.
No way.
I don't know.
No. I don't think so.
I'm trying to come
Just don't watch the last, 2 episodes.
I'm trying to think of the series that I only really half-watched in the first place.
I know, you only half-watched it, and we've also watched it in, chunks.
Yeah.
Over the past half a year.
Back to back with other things.
Yeah.
That
I understand why you're confused.
That I can't necessarily disconnect from it. So, like, was Spider-Man there? No. Was Bobby there? Probably not.
Did he sound like Fred?
Yes.
He might have.
Good show, except for the last 2 episodes. Don't watch those.
Why are they teenagers? Who knows, but it actually works.
It kind of works, yeah.
For the most part, worked. You could watch a whole season and be happy.
I mean, it makes all the stupid fucking drama feel more...
earned.
Realistic.
It makes Tony Stark's teenage-esque drama feel natural.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, alright, on to the comics that we're talking about. I know we had an extra couple of weeks. Can you guys tell me what happened last time on X-Men?
No.
Not for On Your Life.
I can go through...
Oh, Brood.
Yep.
Brood. Shit, wait, no,
Well,
I can't tell you what happened, actually.
There was something before the Brood. Well, I'm gonna go through the summary first, and if not, we can go through...
I'm medicated.
more.
I can tell you what happened a month ago.
Oh
Go ahead.
God.
Charles couldn't be more psyched to be naked.
Uh-huh. I remember that.
Alright. Wolverine serves up some shish kebab.
Yep.
And the Brood intern is sent for refreshments.
Yes, I remember all of this. So, the first thing we read was mostly a flashback issue of Professor Xavier.
Professor Xavier's weird time in Israel?
Yes.
Yes.
So, back when he was, not in a wheelchair.
It's just
and
after
he just
World War II.
kind of wandered around. He went to Israel to see a friend, and his friend worked at like a hospital for Holocaust survivors.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to think of a different way to say that,
There's
but
not
no,
a
that's
good-
just what it is.
There is no good way to say it.
We'll just say it and move on. And his friend was like, hey, I have this one patient that I would really like some help with. And Chuck was like, okay. So he went and met this patient, and it was this young lady who was basically like in a comatose state,
Of
more or
sorts.
It's catatonic.
Yeah. And he fucked around with her mind
Yep, he did his thing.
and fixed her, quote unquote.
Uh-huh.
And then, for some strange reason, she fell in love with him after that.
I'm
I don't
gonna
even
say
know.
he fucked around with her mind, and then he fucked around with her.
Yeah. And he was like, well, if that's what she wants, it can't be a bad thing, right?
There's no problem mixing business with pleasure in the doctor-patient relationship, right? That's
also-
not a conflict of interests.
Also, Magneto was there.
Yeah, he was helping out. He was helping out. And then when the Nazis showed up, he was helping out in a different way.
Yes, Hydra showed up to take that lady, the young lady, because it turned out that she had a map implanted in her brain to Hitler's lost gold, and Hydra wanted that.
Yep.
Specifically, Baron von Strucker wanted that. So they kidnapped her, they used her to get to the gold. Chuck and Magneto, I just forgot his fucking name.
He went by Eric, I think, at the time.
Yes.
Magnus.
No, Magnus, you're right.
Magnus. They showed up.
He has so many names already!
He has a million
He has too
fucking
many
names.
They showed up to rescue her. Magneto, I guess he was already kind of coming into his powers, but at that moment, it just clicked.
He'd already killed a couple Nazis.
He had, yes.
When they attacked the hospital.
And good for him. He deserves it.
Yeah, Chuck was really more pissed about the mercilessness of the slaughter than he was about the killing of Nazis.
Yep.
Yeah, basically. So, his powers basically kicked into overdrive, and he got them all out of there. He took all the gold, and he made a cave-in.
Yeah.
And Baron von Strucker is dead forever. We're never going to see him again.
Nope.
And then Charles was, trying to help the woman, and Magneto was like, anyway, that's cool, I'm glad you're not dead, deuces. And he left with the giant, comically large pile of gold.
He did fly off with a comically large, rectangle, like a cube of gold.
It was really, honestly, visually, it was fucking hilarious.
No one would believe you if you saw this.
But yeah, and then that all happened in a flashback because it was Charles coming out of his coma, his psychic coma, I guess.
Yeah.
And then he was okay, and he's fine, and everyone's celebrating now.
And everything's gonna be fine forever.
Forever and ever, so they went to go have a party on the Laundra ship.
And then we skip ahead, and Wolverine is in hell.
Yeah, so basically, Warbird... Deathbird, that's her name.
You were close.
There's another person called Warbird. Deathbird showed up because she owed the Brood, and they basically captured everyone on Laundra's yacht, and, put eggs in them, you know.
Yeah.
Not that kind of... Wow, that sounds...
No, I mean,
No?
Yeah.
That's pretty much a summary of
what
that's
it
what
is.
happened.
I don't think there's any way that we can describe or portray this that is not someone's fetish.
You know what? You are correct.
It might not specifically be of a position.
Nobody was getting horny doing this during.
No, it was more the kind of alien eggs where, like, this alien creature just shoves it down your throat. And then
Alien.
After a while, the baby, like, tears you open and you become it.
Yep.
Yes.
That kind.
Alien.
So if that's your thing, you should go read that comic. But Wolverine, he was resistant to whatever mindfuckery the Brood had done, so he was able to escape.
I think what was happening is that his senses, because he's got, like, super powered senses, it kept fucking
and also
overpowered him.
I mean, is this, in the end, it turned out his bones were the real problem.
No, it was his healing factor in general.
I think it was just the specific cocktail that is Wolverine.
Wolverine makes a bad Brood.
Yeah, he just doesn't, he can't do it. So he escaped, and he evaded the Brood long enough that his super healing was able to basically kill the Brood inside him. So he was fine.
It gave him a new look.
Yeah, it gave him eczema. And then he went back to find his friends.
Because now he had to kill them.
Yeah, because they all have Brood eggs in them.
Because unfortunately, unlike him, none of them can just heal their way out of this.
And they all escaped. Through some shenanigans.
But not all of them knew that they were...
None of them know, except Wolverine.
At first.
No, none of them know.
None of them?
None of them.
When did they discover?
They haven't yet.
Oh.
Wolverine was about to tell them at the end of the last issue.
Right.
And then they got attacked.
Yep.
Oh.
That was the cliffhanger.
No. Oh, no.
So they escaped. Also, Carol's there. She has special eyes.
Did Carol get brooded?
No.
Did she think she was at a party?
Yes.
Okay.
The Brood took her off to experiment on her.
Yes.
I was a little confused about that.
Oh, that's who's on the cover. I've been sitting here trying to figure out who the fuck that is.
That makes sense.
I just realized who it is. So, they escaped. Wolverine was about to break the bad news to them, and then they got attacked.
Yep.
And that took longer than I intended it to, but it wasn't that long.
No, you did alright. And I'm pretty impressed because it has been long.
It's been literally a month.
And I am very fuzzy on some of the specifics on that. Wow.
Like I said, I am medicated. I have memories.
You are kicking ass. First up is Uncanny X-Men 164 from September of 1982. Written by Chris Claremont, penciled by Dave Cockrum, inked by Bob Wysek, colored by Janine Casey, and lettered by Joe Rosen, with a cover by Dave Cockrum and Bob Wysek.
I heard a name that I think is new.
You did. One new name from Janine Casey. So what can I tell you about her? Fuck all, that's what.
Women
in
comics.
Hang on. What the fuck Why does she have double knees? Her knees are very weird.
They're dislocated.
They're special.
They're special knees.
Yes, you are correct. She has special knees.
Anyway, go on.
The X-Men are under fucking attack!
Yep.
Oh no.
Hunting craft like space sharks dog the Zrishar. She hasn't responded to their warning shots, so the Brood Queen orders the ship disabled but taken alive.
Right, because she wants the babies.
Oh, they're not free yet. Crap.
Yep, after all, the Brood want the X-Men and the Broodlings they host to survive. Once aboard, they all have to live, except Wolverine. Fuck Wolverine. We hate Wolverine.
We all hate Wolverine,
Well,
don't
yeah.
we, folks?
Wolverine is a baby killer. How dare he defy them?
I have infected you with that.
You have, yes.
They're in trouble. The fighters are too fast to outmaneuver in a pleasure craft like Lil's. If they want to run, they've got to get to light speed. And as it stands, they're still too close to the sun to jump, leaving just one option. Fight. The Zrishar doesn't have much in the way of armaments, but her shields won't hold out forever, and Lalandra's still got most of her juice cranked into her engines. So Carol, Piotr, and Logan rush for the weapons bay to hold off their attackers long enough for them to get the fuck out of there. The controls are easy enough to master for two of them, with Carol likening them to a video game and quickly blowing one of the Brood fighters out of the sky.
I didn't know Carol was a gamer.
Yes, I'm a girl. Yes, I game. Don't hit on me, silly boys.
God.
But a Soviet farm boy like Piotr's never really been exposed to such things, and he struggles, his reaction time lagging behind the others as he misses time and again, frustratedly wishing he could just get good.
I like the implication here that Logan is also a gamer.
He's got a cat-eared headset.
He would.
Meanwhile, the yacht has popped out several blisters for the two energy wielders to fire on the enemy craft from, and so they take their positions on opposite sides of the ship, Scott on one and Aurora on the other. As he waits for the enemy to come within range, Psyche ponders Logan's strange behavior, determined to talk it over with him later.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Oh, he's gonna talk it over, alright.
Then there's no more...
Yeah, that's his that's his speaking voice.
Actions speak louder than words.
And these are some very loud actions.
Then there's no more time for thought, and he opens fire, aiming to wound rather than kill.
Why? Oh, yeah, the other X-Men other than Logan have been very weepy about killing the Brood, and it's like, why?
Over in Storm's bubble, she too is shooting her lightning bolts to stun, but with her powers on the fritz, something goes wrong. To her horror, one crack of lightning shatters 3 of the Brood fighters.
Good for her!
Killing ships and occupants both.
Yes!
Despite the Zrishar's attempts at defense, the Brood keep up the pressure, strafing at the engineering section. Eventually something's got to give, and eventually something does.
Something's got to give. Something's got to give.
What?
Something's got to give.
I would prefer bodies don't hit the floor this time, though.
Let the bodies hit the floor.
The Brood hit something crucial, knocking out the warp drive.
Oh,
so
no.
that's what the bodies were.
The warp drive.
Let the bodies hit the warp. Let the bodies hit the
Wow.
warp. They're not going to be able to make a getaway if someone doesn't head out there to effect repairs. Kurt volunteers, but Kitty protests that he's still in too rough a shape to go, volunteering herself instead.
So Logan calls the Brood sleazoids, and Kitty apparently picked that up from him because she keeps calling them sleazoids. It's really cute, honestly.
It's super endearing. Logan picks up teenage girls like
He
ducklings.
really does. He's such a fucking...
I've witnessed it happen in the future.
He is a father.
After all, her whole plan, she's just gonna phase clear of any danger. No one likes her plan, But with few options, she is quickly strapped into a spacesuit and headed out onto the hull to fix the ship, while the rest continue to try and beat back the brood. She carefully walks the hull, conscious of the fact that any misstep could leave her stranded in space, easy pickings for the brood. Coming to the same conclusion as soon as they spot her, the brood open fire with stun blasts, hoping to knock her off the hull. But apparently no one bothered to let Takrilli's pilots know about their quarry, because Kitty turns intangible, the bolts passing right through her. She then steps down into the damaged segment of the hull to work on the warp drive. Meanwhile, back inside, Carol is overcome by an acid trip. Her vision first going blurry before flashing bright with vivid and unfamiliar colors and images. Everything seems to be happening all at once. The brood, realizing their success when the Zrishar doesn't jump to warp, redouble their efforts to take the ship, worsened by the fact that, spurred by the death she caused, Aurora is now having a meltdown. Meanwhile, Carol breaks out in a sweat as another one of those strange spells washes over the woman. Still more happens within the span of seconds. Outfixing the ship, Kitty suddenly cries out in pain, having been struck by some shrapnel.
Ew.
Her suit self-seals, and she manages to get back to work against Lalandra's protests. But inside, things aren't going so hot. Suddenly, that power that's been fighting its way of Carol surges loose, transforming her into a mighty thing of blazing fire. It doesn't stay within her, though. With her newfound power, she blasts it loose of the ship, disintegrating every single brood fighter on the scene. Nearly simultaneously, Kit Kat completes the repairs and Lalandra jumps them to warp, getting them all safely away from the brood.
Oh, boy, that's a lot. That's a lot.
A lot just happened all at once, right?
Yep.
Love it. Back on Earth, Charles Xavier prepares for dinner. His mansion restored, but his heart in tatters. Still, a man has to eat, and he's not the only one who he has to look out for. At the doorway to the kitchen enters young Ilyana Rasputina, answering his summons from her explorations of the new house to join him for dinner.
Oh yeah, this is a brand new house, isn't it? Like a truly
Yes.
new house.
It was fucking destroyed down to the foundations.
Yeah.
It was just finished by, Lalandra's construction robots.
Yeah.
Huh. I wonder what kind of quality construction robots give you when they're building a traditional Earth house.
Great question. As they eat, Ilyana has some questions about some strange goings-on. Sometimes when he's not around, like when she was exploring the house, she can still hear his voice. And one day, after a nap, she suddenly understood English. What was up with that?
Good question.
That's a weird thing. Hey, Charles, are you messing with her?
Charles then explains his abilities to the girl, who immediately wants to know first if Choco knows what she's thinking. He's not prying. And if she's a mutant. He doesn't know. The youngster explains that she's got certain abilities of her own, with a devious little grin.
Oh, no.
Refusing to elaborate further. Xavier's intrigued and probes her defenses, but when he finds them strong, the depressed telepath loses interest.
Oh, boy.
He decides that, much like Jamie Madrox before her, this is Moira's problem.
Great.
Wow.
His disinterest is a tree that I'm sure will never bear fruit.
Surely not. This will never have consequences.
Surely, if he looked into this, nothing good could have happened. There's no world where he takes an active interest and solves a problem.
Out on the hull of the ship, Kitty lies in the damage crater, hurt and exhausted. She calls out for help and is suddenly illuminated with the comforting glow radiating from Carol's head, now that she's using Fire Lord's hairdresser.
Oh, no. Carol, please, find a better hairdresser.
Inside now, the X-Men all huddle up in one of the lounges to regroup, their breaths all freezing on the air. Kitty's repair got them out of immediate danger, but it wasn't a permanent fix, and now the Zrishar's warp drive has died. Without it, they don't have life support, and if they don't somehow get the matter-antimatter cores replenished soon...
Oh, we really are running on Star Trek rules.
They're going to save Logan a lot of work. Not that they know that, because he still hasn't fucking told them.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there's never a good time, you know?
When's the time to tell your friends that they're all going to not die, but turn into horrible monsters?
They've got other shit to do with.
So, if he doesn't kill them now, it's worse.
Lilandra then confirms Aurora's fears. Neither Cyclops nor Aurora pack enough of a punch to give the engines the kind of jump start they need. Suddenly, Carol steps away from the group, heading for the engine room. She says the engines need the equivalent of a star, then unleashes her power on the warp cores, and that's all she wrote. They're happily back up and humming along.
I guess that must have been within spec of the engines. Good job!
The effort exhausts her to the extent that Care Bear collapses against Psyche for support. But with the engines up and running again, at least they can all get some rest. Out on the surface of the ship, Piotr and Carol work to effect repairs on some of the damage to the hull. Danvers has some ideas about her powers being a physical merger with the primal fabric of the universe. Whatever that means. Colossus thinks that's neat.
He would.
Of course he would. That's great.
And so he offers her to join the X-Men. There's no denying that she's handy. She's a friend, and she was mutated by the Brood.
Does that...
I suppose.
Does this count? Are we counting that?
I feel like that's a stretch, but a mostly harmless one, I think. Fuck it, we ball. Part of Carol likes the idea, but she's not so sure she wants to go back to Earth. Once upon a time, a teenage Carol Danvers hitchhiked to Florida to watch a space launch. Such were her dreams of being an astronaut. She never made it, but the dream never died. And now the reality is right here at her fingertips. Can she really give it up, even with everything she'd missed back at home? She then reveals her new superhero name, Binary.
Okay.
Huh.
Inside, Kurt runs a stethoscope over Kitty's back, listening for something I'm sure he's qualified to actually hear. She feels pretty alright, and would love to be helping everyone else with getting the ship back in working order again. But Kurt won't hear it, ordering her back to bed with lots of lemon honey tea and chicken broth. He bamfs away to the command deck, hoping there's finally some good news on the medical subsystem so he can actually get a real scan on Kitty's condition.
So he's just giving her moral support, not, medical.
Yep, but they're still not up and running yet. At first, Scott doesn't understand his reaction, but then he explains further. Kitty shouldn't be getting better. Between the rip in her spacesuit and the jump to warp, Kit Kat got exposed to a lot of radiation.
Oh, so she should be turning into a bloody mess.
She should be dead or dying, not the picture of health. Something is fucky here.
It's okay, she phased through the radiation.
All of it. Every last bit. It's fine, actually.
Every last drop.
Wolverine cuts in that they shouldn't ask questions they don't want the answers to. Which further sets off those alarm bells Psyche's been getting since before they left the Brood world.
Oh, his skin condition has cleared up.
Yay!
They gave him some lotion.
But when he asks Wolverine maybe the cold was really good for his skin condition.
It's not good for mine, I can tell you that.
Well, yours isn't Brood related.
How do you know that?
You're alive. And you're
it's
still
been
you.
happening for quite a while.
Yeah, that's some really slow...
Well, his came from killing the brood egg in him.
You keep on getting brood eggs in you?
Go on.
When he asks Wolverine what his deal is, Logan just wants to know why he wouldn't help him kill the Brood Queen.
Yeah.
To which we repeat the same exchange. The X-Men don't kill. But this time Wolvie snaps, popping his claws and snapping, "Wanna bet?" Before reaching out to apologize for his behavior, walking off with his shoulders slumped as he tries to pretend that all is well, while knowing full well that it is not.
Poor guy.
Kurt offers to go after him, but Scott waves him off, intending to get to the bottom of this himself. In the shuttle bay, Aurora's found herself a space large enough to practice. She wants to get to the bottom of what's going on with her powers, and so she summons up a gust of wind. But while she is indeed borne upon the breeze, her body is racked by a searing pain that sends her crashing back to the cold deck plating. She's just in time for a passing Scott to see, and he rushes to her side. Roro attempts to wave him off, but he knows that game all too well. That's his signature move, and he won't have her ripping it off.
We can't have two stoics.
That's
on the
actually
team.
what he says. Oh my god.
He again comes forth with his suspicions that something is tearing us apart, Aurora.
You're tearing us apart!
If we deny its existence, if we turn away from those who want to help us, we're as good as dead. So, like, he knows, he just doesn't know.
Right, he has an idea, but he doesn't know.
But Aurora doesn't think he can help her. She believes herself soul-sick, that she's separated from the earth. Her bond with its life and power is irreparably ebbing away. She weeps, feeling that her very soul is dying, and it doesn't help being surrounded by all of this unliving material. Even a plush pleasure craft like the Zrishar feels cold and sterile to Storm. She feels no life here. Not even her love for her friends is enough to sustain her. She then swoons, and Scott catches her, ordering Aurora to bed. But before she can go, Aurora comes to a horrifying conclusion. She's preggers!
Well,
I mean...
she's not wrong.
It just doesn't come out the normal way.
After a few moments to consider how this could have come to pass, she comes to a disturbing conclusion and throws an absolute fit, summoning up a gust of wind that blows Sight completely out of the shuttle bay while she takes off in one of the shuttles within. She is, of course, naked, having left her costume behind in all of the commotion.
Somehow.
Yeah, a very normal and organic thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, every time I storm off in a huff, I always take a minute to take off my clothes.
The X-Men stand gathered in the shuttle bay, all worried about their distressed friend. But again, without a lot of idea as to what the hell just happened. Scott asks Carol to go fetch Aurora, but before she can leave, Logan finally comes clean, explaining about the brood eggs implanted in each of their chests. He couldn't find it in him to either tell them or kill them before now, but now it's all out in the open. There's no removing the eggs. They're bonded to their nervous systems, with seemingly no future ahead but their deaths, barring a miracle. We all know Aurora's reaction to the news was to get naked and run away. Now the others all face their mortality in turn. Scott Summers' devastation is plain to see in the frown pasted across his face, while Pyotr Rasputin's is instead contracted in a snarl of rage.
Ooh.
Young Kitty Pryde weeps at the idea of her life coming to a close so terribly, while Kurt Wagner just buries his head in his hands. But even Pyotr's anger is eclipsed by binaries as she flares up into her superpowered form. But Logan's not done, continuing to explain that part of the reason he couldn't bring himself to spill the beans before was the guilt. Even after they all die, he's going to keep on living because his immune system killed his broodling. Mr. Exposition further explains Kitty's survival. The brood embryo healed her out of self-preservation. Finally, a furious Carol has had it, and she, much like Storm before her, blasts out of the shuttle bay with 3 key differences. 1, she's out for vengeance. 2, she's got clothes on. 3, she forgot to open the hatch and the bay is undergoing explosive decompression.
Rip the X-Men. It's been a nice series.
How'd y'all like that?
Whew.
Debating if I want to give it a 5.
Oh boy.
I'll give it a 4.5. I'll be reserved.
I don't like Binary's design.
I don't either. Well, I like some parts of it, but I dislike other parts of it.
I don't know what they're thinking about with the face.
I think she looks like the sun, honestly, or a star.
Yeah, but it's not really good.
No. I mean, I get what they're going for. The part I don't like about it is the actual outfit.
Fair.
Because those red parts are cutouts. That's her skin. And that's dumb.
I mean, that's just kind of a rip on Storm's outfit, really.
Yeah. That doesn't make it good.
No, I'm not saying that makes it good. I'm just saying...
And she's still in heels.
Of course.
But of
Thigh-high heels.
The flaming boots, I'm kind of a sucker for the flaming boots.
I like the flaming boots. I like the flaming hair. I like the motif of making her look like a star. You know, the whole binary thing. I get it.
I wish
idea.
more of the white was yellow.
Yeah. I get what John's saying about the face. In that panel in particular, it looks bad.
There are some
in
panels
other ones,
where it does not look good.
I think that looks fucking awesome.
Yeah, that looks pretty sweet.
She looks like a fucking tarot card.
You know, you're not wrong. I don't know what tarot card she is, but...
The sun. That's a tarot card.
Well, there we go.
I don't know tarot.
Or the Empress, I suppose. But, I don't know. I think, like I said, I like some parts and I dislike other parts. But what do you think of this issue?
It's a heck of an issue. 4? 4.5?
Okay. I said 4.5.
3.5?
Really?
I don't know, 4.
I mean, hey, it's okay if you're not vibing with it that much.
I can disagree. It's
you
fine.
You guys 4.5. You guys 4, or you 4.5. I 3.5 forward.
Okay.
So
what do you not like about it?
I don't know.
I wanna hear your opinions. Vibes.
Vibes are off.
There's parts of it that I really enjoy. There's a lot of the tension gets really good in the middle there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's
okay.
4.5.
It's fine.
If you're just not feeling it,
it's fine. That's completely fine. I was just curious.
What do you think Ciamuro thought?
2.
4.
3.95.
Ooh, that's pretty good.
That's a very high score from them.
And that is going to be the last of Dave Cockrum for us.
Really?
He's leaving the title again. And we are going to move on with a new artist in Uncanny X-Men 165 from October of 1982. Written by Chris Claremont, penciled by Paul Smith, inked by Bob Wysek, colored by Lynn Varley, lettered by Tom Orzechowski, with a cover by Paul Smith and Bob Wysek.
This is a weird
This is
Animorphs.
What are you talking about? This is my favorite Animorphs.
I was gonna say issue, but Animorphs isn't an issue.
My favorite Animorphs cover. What are you talking about? Wow, it really is the same outfit, though.
I mean, basically, yeah.
Like, you're literally... She's
just
literally...
the same fit in white.
Literally.
And the thigh-high boots.
And the thigh-high boots.
It's just missing the capelet, but we don't even show that on this cover.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, we've got 2 new names here, so what can I tell you about them? Well, Paul Smith actually entered into the comic industry from animation. He was even involved with the animated Lord of the Rings adaptation.
Oh boy.
So if you've ever seen that, he's involved with that, so that's fun.
I'm sorry for him.
What about Lynn Varley? Well, for one, she's a local girl, hearkening from Livonia.
Hey!
Oh shit. Michigan mention.
Michigan mention!
Beyond that, she's won awards for her coloring. She's also the ex-wife of fellow comics professional Frank Miller.
Oh! I'm sorry?
That's, about what I have on Lynn. I mean, there's some messy personal stories about Lynn, but
I'm not shocked, but...
Did she color this cover?
Probably.
Okay.
I do not know.
Props on her for giving Storm a reasonable skin tone.
In the aftermath of Care Bear's brilliant decision
to kill her friends,
the group quickly scramble for anything they can grab to prevent themselves from being swept out into space. They're in trouble, but Scott's got a plan. Step 1, Piotr turns to Colossus and blocks the hole as best he can, which is not well at all.
He's not big enough.
Step 2, Nightcrawler and Lilandra bamf off to the bridge to activate damage control systems. Yet again, Kurt has a difficult time teleporting the pair of them, but they do still appear safely on the bridge. Carol's blast-off routine broke something on the ship, because its automatic repair routines aren't working right.
Oh, fun.
Even though it's going to increase the air pressure headed outward, Lilandra increases the air in the hangar to keep the remaining X-Men alive while they work on manual repairs.
Smart.
Meanwhile, inside the hangar, they're working on attempts on repairs of their own. Scott instructs Logan to cut a chunk of deck plating to plug the hole. He cuts it maybe 3/4 of the way through, but that makes him lose his grip and go flying towards Colossus, one big ol' ouchie inbound.
Oh boy.
You know, this isn't how fastball specials are supposed to work.
It's okay, they're just gonna have a big hug.
Yes, but Colossus is supposed to be pitching, not catching.
He's allowed.
It's a switch. With a hefty woof, Wolvie collides with the Ruski. Though Colossus's grip holds and the pair remain inside the ship.
Yay!
Wolverine gets clotheslined.
And so Cyclops finishes the job, trimming the last quarter of the deck plating with a well-placed optic blast. He shouts out a warning for the other two X-Men to get out of the way, and they manage to peel themselves free of the hole just in time before the deck plating slams into place, sealing the hole. At least until the Zrishar's repair systems can take care of things properly. And so the group all crash back down to the floor with varying degrees of grace. But that doesn't mean they're exactly out of hot water yet. See the brood eggs waiting to take their bodies for their own at any moment.
Yeah.
Back on Earth, in the apparently several weeks it's been since the X-Men were kidnapped, work on the house has not just been completed, but we've got the pool ready and everything.
Oh, wow.
As Stevie Hunter, Moira McTaggart, and Ilyana Rasputina spend a summer day upholding the tradition of X-Men pool parties. Even if there are no X-Men to hold them. Ilyana prepares for a plunge off the high dive I don't recall there being there before.
It's new.
The robots install the high dive.
As the women chat about the missing X-Men and the effect it's had on the professor. As we've seen, Chuck isn't taking the loss well, and the atmosphere around the house has been a rather grim one.
Shame, it's a brand new, shiny house.
But truth be told, Moira thinks a lot of this stems back to the loss of the use of his legs in the first place. He wishes he could be there with them, but instead he's trapped here. That pulls at the former ballerina's heartstrings. She feels something of that pain after her own career-ending injuries. But Moira contends that it's worse for Chuck. He feels like he failed his kids, just like Jean before them. Moira readies to head in to talk to Mr. Clean himself, when Stevie cries out in pain, falling back to her pool chair, clutching her knee.
Ooh.
She explains about the accident that shattered her knee, and the scientist then heads inside for her talk with Charles. It's actually about Xian Koiman, who we actually read about. Reed Richards has reached out on her behalf with some concerns over her powers potentially getting out of hand. He wants Chuck's help, but in his depressed state, just like with Ilyana, Charles is completely indifferent and turns down the request outright.
No joke. I don't think I've ever seen quite a good depiction of depression as that one panel, that first panel of Charles.
It's pretty good, yeah.
As someone who suffers with depression, I resemble that picture.
Not to laugh at your depression or anything.
I'll laugh at your depression.
No. Laugh at it. It's the only way to make it through sometimes.
We all have depression. We're allowed to laugh.
To his surprise, though, Moira doesn't fight back like she has over the past few weeks. She's got other options in mind. Charles asks if perhaps Moira means to take her under her own wing. But she has other ideas, planning to seek out either Magneto or Emma Frost to school the youngster in the use of her powers.
Wow!
I mean...
They are other options, but that's some manipulation game you got there, girl.
That at least seems to be enough to stir Xavier out of his funk.
Hell yeah.
Finding the idea of turning this girl over to villains like that unfathomable.
Fucking gaslight, gatekeep, girl boss.
It got his attention, didn't it?
Moira counters that it's better than just abandoning the girl without any guidance. But Charles can't bring himself to accept another child into this life after what happened to the X-Men, arguing that Moira couldn't even begin to understand his loss.
Oh. Really? You're going to pull that card on her?
Almost immediately, he wants to swallow his words and probably disappear into the carpet. After Moira reminds him of the fate of her own son, consumed by the hunger of his own powers run amok, asterisk.
Yeah.
But she proposes that if she'd asked for help, maybe things could have turned out differently for Kevin, before asking once more not to doom Karma to the same fate. For a long time after she leaves, Xavier remains still, wrapped in his own thoughts of the past and his responsibilities. As the shadows grow long in the room and sun sets on the horizon, finally he takes Richard's letter in hand and wheels over to the phone.
And has to leave a voicemail.
Aurora's shuttlecraft hangs in space in the nebula surrounding the Zrishar.
Where did she get the new clothes?
Great question.
On board, I guess.
Inside its walls, she troubles over what to do with the egg incubating within her body. It's a living thing, and she's always promised never to kill. But what can she do about it? On one hand, she figures she could do nothing and let the egg hatch, allowing herself to be transformed into the monstrous brood, killing her and however many others that brood would kill. On the other hand, she could try to fight back, but give up on her vow to protect life, and hence her own life would lose all meaning. Suddenly a change begins in her body, her hand transforming from delicate flesh to coiled insectoid tendrils.
Oh dear.
Storm cries out in horror, fleeing across the small shuttle as her changes ripple up her arms and across her body, before tripping and falling in a heap. As the metamorphosis continues, Aurora curls up on herself, but then the shuttle is engulfed in light. To her shock, she looks up to see a sky full of stars, and then looks down to see her own body restored back to its normal state. She's got a theory that emerging from the nebula into the galactic core brought her into a rapport with hundreds of living worlds and stars, the inrushing power overwhelming the embryo for now. But that won't last forever. She has to act before she loses this opportunity. And she has made her choice. For one painful moment, she longs to see the X-Men one last time. Then she reaches out once more to that life she found before in the galactic core and harnesses it, exploding that power outwards, shattering the shuttlecraft to roughly so much debris, leaving her body to float amongst the myriad stars dotting the sky.
Oh.
Rip.
I guess we'll never see Storm again.
Meanwhile, now that the ship's repairs are nearly completed, the rest of the X-Men also have to figure out what to do about their own brood infections. Mr. One-Track Mind has a suggestion. What if we turn around and kill the Brood Queen now? Lilandra was cool with this plan from the start. But knowing the truth now, a reluctant Scott finally agrees. Kill the brood it is.
Mm-hmm. Hang on, have we established that killing the queen will actually fix them, or is it straight up just like, fuck you?
No, it's just fuck you.
That's what I thought.
Alright, cool.
One last good deed before they burn out.
It's not like a werewolf, where if you kill the werewolf that bit you, you stop being a werewolf.
No, it's just fuck the brood.
I mean, fair.
That's what I thought.
Logan walks the halls of the ship, considering the difficulty it took for Scott to come to that agreement, when he comes upon Kurt kneeling in prayer. He didn't really expect this from Crawler, not really a religious man himself.
Wait, Wolverine, you did not figure Kurt Wagner, known religious guy, to be the religious type.
Apparently he completely forgot the Dracula incident.
Yeah. And also the time they went to hell.
Logan, have you just not been paying attention? Do you not know your friend?
And also didn't notice the time that Kurt was gone every Sunday.
He was drunk.
How drunk have you? How much alcohol does it take to get you drunk?
It's when he calls in on those beer tabs that...
Yeah.
Kurt has pity for his friend, expecting that he must feel terribly alone without the Lord by his side.
Nah, he's good. He's got enough alcohol that he can be anywhere he wants.
But Logan very straightly counters that he's not because he's got Kurt.
Aww.
The two then head off for some brewskis because this is a party boat after all.
I was right about the alcohol.
They're cute.
They are.
Newly 14-year-old Kitty Pryde sleeps an uneasy sleep, mind wrapped in dreams after crying herself to sleep. She had a birthday.
Woohoo!
Yay!
Happy birthday to you.
We got you something. It's a brood egg.
We got you something. It's death.
It's a fate worse than death.
She dreams she's back home at a funeral with her parents and the rest of the X-Men. A solemn occasion for sure. Though Kit Kat's not exactly in a solemn mood, just happy to be home. She steps forward to pay her respects, but when she looks down into the coffin, she's faced with her own dead body. And then it opens its eyes, staring up at her. Not for long, though. Within moments, the body transforms instead into one of the brood, ensnaring her in its tendrils and dragging her towards the coffin. She tries to phase free, but her powers refuse to work. Tries to claw at the ground, but it's no use. She's pulled into the coffin, where soon her body melts away, leaving only the brood queen, and Kitty awakens with a scream loud enough to bring Piotr rushing in from the other room to try and comfort her, holding her to his chest and smoothing down her hair.
Cool, but that's very heavy-handed imagery.
Yeah.
She's not exactly the only one sleeping like shit these days. But it's cold comfort to the youngster, who finds her waking nightmare just as horrible as her dreams. Piotr's best attempts to comfort her only anger Pride at first, snapping at him for laughing when he asks who wants to die. But laughter has been his reprieve from grief over the situation. Better than crying. Man after my own heart, even if I am also a crybaby bitch. But Kit Kat doesn't take his demeanor well, snapping at the team for his nonchalance in the face of death. Pete then gets serious, laying some truths on the kid. We're always dying, be it one day at a time or all at once. Life always has an end. All they can do is stave it off as long as possible. Kitty hears him, but the girl still has a lot of trouble accepting dying like this
And
in
also,
particular.
she's 14.
Right. And the more she thinks about it, the more overwhelmed she becomes, until eventually she finds herself clinging to him once more. Still upset, she continues, on a roll, wondering if some part of her intelligence might persist, forced to know how far she's fallen. It's enough to bring the girl to tears. After a long time holding one another, Kitty begins to calm, before giving voice to a forbidden thought that's long lingered between them.
Let's make some bad decisions.
She just wishes she were older. Pete does too, and the pair kiss, but Petey breaks it off there, because no matter what they wish, she isn't older. Kit Kat tries to convince him that they're about to die. Society's rules don't matter. But Rasputin remains steadfast. It's a no from him.
Good.
Okay.
Good on you, Petey boy.
That's when Kitty opens her eyes, exclaiming in surprise at something behind him. A shocked Piotr whirls, stealing up and ripping off his shirt in one smooth motion.
How many times has he done this?
It's well practiced.
I mean, he doesn't have to take his shirt off, though, is the thing.
Maybe he's trying not to rip it.
Yeah, he doesn't want to lose the shirt.
Well, the shirt beam doesn't work on this ship.
It's Aurora, but something is screwy here. She doesn't look like herself. Glowing and bearing the pointed fangs of a vampire. When Colossus points this out, reaching straight through her, Roro disappears because nope, he's right, this is wrong. In the kitchen, the beer isn't great. That's an understatement. Next time, if there is a next time, it should be better. Kurt promises. Aurora appears over Logan's shoulder, greeting the boys. Logie waves hey before giving a double take because hey!
Hey, wait a second.
When they look around, though, the room is empty. But only for a moment, and then she's back once more, this time as a small girl. Nope, wrong again, Roro. Kurt reaches out his hand too, only for it too to pass straight through. He's fast to port to the bridge to inform the others what's going on, but he's going to have to get in line because the pajama-clad Kitty and less so Piotr are already on the bridge.
Piotr!
Once the shirt is off, it stays off.
I think he gave the shirt to Kitty, maybe.
Oh, that makes sense.
Let's see.
Not that she was scantily clad or anything.
Right. But Psyche and Lil have bigger fish to fry. They've got a massive something or other closing in on them. But with the nebula's interference, they can't tell where from. A great time for another storm to show up, this time here on the bridge. Logan finally catches up with the rest of them here on the bridge, convinced that the image is real. Before all their eyes, it shifts to an older version of Storm. But before anyone can puzzle it out, one of the Brood's ships appears in the nebula, opening its gaping maw to swallow them whole.
Well, they wanted to kill the Brood Queen.
Lilandra tries to punch the engines and rip their way free, just like they did with the Starjammer before, but it's no use. Neither their weapons nor their engines will respond. Meanwhile, the storm image changes shape one last time to her usual form, naming the giant beast as the Akanti and explaining that they are now one.
Huh.
So it's not actually one of the Brood ships.
Oh.
Okay.
Not a Brood ship at
Yeah,
all.
because the Brood ships are made out of, like, space whales.
Oh, this is a space whale that's not dead.
Yeah, hasn't been brutalized.
Funny. How'd y'all like that?
You know, when we get a new artist on these things, I'm always a little worried. Because
I thought the art on this one was kind of uneven.
It was uneven. It had some high points. It had some low points. And I hope it will even out.
3.5.
It started off real rough.
Yes.
Yeah.
That first page was a doozy.
Ooh, boy,
It seems like it got better as we went on, but we had some doozies to start.
There are moments that are great artistically, that from a visual standpoint.
I was very distracted by Lilandra's 6 head.
Yeah, that is just...
I like Logan's face down here.
I mean, hey, Kurt's got a look too on that page.
Yeah, but his face is his face is half shadow, so it's not that
What
bad.
did we... They snapped Logan's back.
It's fine.
Actually, I think he's missing like a third of his body.
It's fine. No, he's just short.
But as for writing, I don't know, 3.5?
Yeah, it was okay.
I think that's about where I am too. Art was I'm not gonna say mid, but
I think it has room to improve, and I hope it steadies itself, because when it hit, like, depressed Chuck.
I was very distracted by Moira's hair and how round it is.
it was quite round, but she didn't have her bump it.
Yeah, she doesn't have a bump it, and she doesn't have turf bangs anymore.
But
which is good.
I loved depressed Chuck here. Like,
I know. That panel down there is really good too.
Each one of his poses just... I feel that.
And there was some really good work in some places with Aurora too. Like, I really liked this one.
It's a good pose. Even if...
I like her hair covering half her face.
There's good art in here. Really good art in here. It's just...
Not all good art.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's just the new penciler figuring out how to draw these characters.
Mm-hmm.
They've all got to talk to each other.
Mm-hmm.
So, we've got a little bit of a mixed bag here, but it's to be expected.
Yeah, that's what happens when you get new artists.
So yeah, I'm with y'all. About 3.5. Hell, I'll even go 3.75.
What did CMRO think?
CMRO thought 3.88.
Okay.
They liked it.
Yep, they liked it a little more than y'all. A little more than even I did, and I rated it a little higher than you guys.
Impressive.
So while we've got you here in the middle, let's go through our stuff. If you wouldn't mind, could you please hit the buttons down below?
Please.
Please.
Pretty please.
Please.
Pretty please with sugar on top.
Like, subscribe, hit the bell button. Comment below, tell us if you've ever watched Iron Man Armored Adventures and what you thought of it.
Or hey, if you found this post on social media, retweet, blog, whatever you do on Facebook. I don't remember.
Share.
Share? Really?
Yeah.
They don't have a word?
It's share. The word is share.
Yeah, but like retweet and reblog.
No, they don't have one of those.
That's
what would it be? Re-Facebook?
Yes. Re-Facebook.
Rebook.
Reface.
Rebook actually kind of works.
Reface would be what they would do, though.
Yeah.
Give us a thumbs up and a share on Facebook.
Yeah, speaking of Facebook and speaking of social media, there are places you can find us. We are on Tumblr X, the place
She.
formerly... Yeah, Xi.
Or death in Chinese.
The website formerly known as Twitter.
Yep.
Tumblr.
Facebook.
Blue Sky.
Blue Sky.
Instagram.
Technically. And, I mean, are we really on Blue Sky? Do we actually have formal anything there?
No.
That's what I thought. It's all because of the different sizes of the headers. Ugh.
I told John I make all the graphics, and I told John about this, and they've been absolutely livid about it since then.
Look! It's bad! It's bad, damn it!
We're
Discord.
also over on Discord. We include a link every time. We include a link in the description every upload, so just check down below. If you have anything longer you'd like to send us, go ahead and send us an email over at comicsplaining@gmail.com. If you want to support the show, send us a few bucks over on Copy. Comicsplaining over there. Other than that, let's get on with the show.
Well, it has been quite a while since we recorded episode 125, and unlike Ripley, I did prepare something, so I won't make you guys recap.
Alright.
But you could try.
I could.
But-
Do you remember what happened?
Let's see. No.
I remember the last one.
Okay. Well, I already have something written up, so don't worry about it.
Alright.
In the interest of clarity for the listeners, I'm just gonna do it. A little Cliff Notes version. So everyone can get caught up to speed, including you guys. Last time we read Thor number 253, where Thor didn't die in a fire pit, and then helped Ulik save the Troll Kingdom from Trogdor the Burninator.
Right, I remember. Okay, I do remember.
In doing so, he lost the MacGuffin he needed to find Odin, instead selflessly using it to save Trollkind from certain doom, for which he was immediately laughed out of the club because the trolls are evil, 100% evil, we super duper mean it.
And that was really lame, actually.
Yeah.
I remember that.
It was bad writing.
That was just bad.
It was bad. We also had a B story that was the second installment of a two-parter.
That's why I was remembering. Was there a young giant? There was a young giant that young Thor had a fight with.
Yes.
And the fight continues.
Teen Thor fought a teen giant, and
They fell into a hole.
They fell into a hole, but then they ended up becoming friends.
Yes, and it was wholesome and good, actually.
And it was much more interesting than the A story. Thor 254 was a reprint, so we skipped to 255, where Thor returned empty-handed, only to learn that in failing the quest, he actually passed the pop quiz.
Because it was a test of his morality.
Yeah, I guess. The whole thing was planned, and Thor was such a good boy that Mimir shared the wisdom he had by telling everyone that Odin is at something called the Doomsday Star.
Which is not the Black Star or the Black Galaxy or the
no,
Death
no.
Star or any of those other...
No.
We also don't know where it is.
Without asking any additional questions, Thor told Baldur to hold down the fort while everyone else hopped on a boat to aimlessly wander through space.
Oh, and they ran into the rock people.
Well, after taking some damage in a meteor shower, they parked on an asteroid, where they encountered the Cronins from Thor's very first appearance.
The same Cronins.
The same exact ones.
Who'd have thunk you'd run into the very same Cronins?
They attempted to steal the ship, but they were very bad at it, and instead they blew up the asteroid and died.
So
while Thor escaped.
So you have to wonder, these guys never stood a chance in taking over the world, huh?
No. I mean, they literally failed because Thor didn't even fight them. He just scared them so bad that they left.
That's amazing.
So that's what we come back to in Thor number 256 from November of 1976. Written by Len Wein, penciled by John Buscema, inked by Tony DeZuniga, colored by Glynis Wein, lettered by John Costanza, and the cover is also by John Buscema. No sooner has the legally distinct Starjammer escaped its last encounter than Volstagg draws everyone's attention with a cry of alarm.
It's just one thing or another, isn't it?
One thing after another, constantly. A strange object, somewhat man-shaped, flies straight toward them like a torpedo. Hogan
it's a friendly face.
Hogan is ready for his turn at the plate, and I gotta say it would be pretty goddamn funny if he just slugged that fastball off into the fucking nether.
It turns out it's the recorder, and they just hit him anyway.
But he who hath called for some Memorex.
But Thor tells him to hold off just in case the unidentified flying bastard is friendly. Hats off to him for the optimism, but if something was flying straight toward me at that kind of speed, I don't think I would give it the benefit of the doubt.
Oh, I mean, it's good so far. It's looking good,
it's good that
he
did. His restraint pays off because it's the recorder. He didn't slow down or land. He literally just flew feet first across space at top speed until he got here.
As only the recorder does.
It's amazing that he didn't just go straight through the ship, which I will again point out is made of wood. So for anyone, mostly the listeners, who doesn't have an encyclopedic knowledge of Thor side characters, the recorder is an android created by the big-headed aliens called the Rigelians. The Rigelians are somewhat scholarly, I guess, a trait that's only somewhat obfuscated by the fact that they are colonizers, as in literally they call themselves that.
It's a profession.
And they explicitly conquer and colonize other planets.
And a point of pride.
Yeah. That's their entire culture.
They're British.
Space British.
Yeah. Thor has had several dealings with them, beginning with the time that the colonizer and only female Rigelian we have ever seen, Tananile, attempted to colonize Earth. That was bad, and Thor didn't like it. But after they stopped doing that, they kept asking Thor to do stuff for them.
And they went on adventures, didn't they?
Yes, and somewhere along the way, he forgot that they suck. Most recently, they evacuated their home planet to escape from the Black Stars, which are not to be confused with the Black Sun, or the Black Galaxy, or the Dark Nebula, or the Death Star, or the Doomsday Star. Which...
Why is the series like
that? The 9
that?
million Death Day Doomsday.
Why is Thor like that?
Which Thor saved them from, kind of coincidentally, because he was going to deal with it anyway.
So now they're here to go with his... coincidentally on the quest to this Death Day Doomstar Nebula Star Galaxy.
Yes, because after that, the Rigelians decided that they owe him one, and I guess they were spying on him because they saw him take off on his quest to find Odin, and decided to send the recorder.
And they sent him in the most normal way they could send him.
Yeah, by, I don't know.
Feet first, at close to the speed of light.
Yeah. The recorder himself is an android created for the sole purpose of recording. He's basically a walking camcorder that the Rigelians send to wherever the hell so they can get
Watcher,
info.
but better at his job.
And he usually is under strict orders to not interfere, but the Rigelians decided that he can do things this time, so he's actually helping and not just live streaming.
Well, it's gonna make for interesting content.
Also, he is friends with Thor, and might have emotions. Also, I feel like somewhere along the way, the writers at Marvel forgot that the recorder is actually a model of mass-produced android and not just this guy in particular.
Which might be a retcon.
Anyway, whatever, the recorder is here. You may be hoping that our team will be able to get directions from him, but of course he has no idea what the Doomsday Star is or where it would be. Maybe the Regalians could have sent a GPS android instead of a camera, but I'm sure the stream is blowing up right now.
Well, come on, it's got Thor. It's a hit.
Exactly.
Thanks for donating $5.
But wait, another thing is happening. This time, Volstagg draws attention to a field of broken scrap metal, which leads them to a massive rundown spaceship. Or really more of a space ark, I guess. They keep calling it a world ship, as if to say that it's carrying the entire population of a world. But I feel like the scale is a bit off. The recorder is picking up life signs from 2 distinct creatures on board. And he means like 2 different kinds of creatures, not 2 total. The wording is awkward. But Thor obviously can't resist sticking his nose into other people's business, so we gotta check it out.
Sure.
And now it's time to do something that I've noticed Len does a lot. We cut away to the interior of the ship, where we see the inhabitants fleeing from some unnamed threat.
It would be funny if it was Thor.
We are introduced to a young man and his grandfather, who very naturally calls his grandson by name, which is Darnak.
Darnak.
Darnak attempts to help his grandpa, but the old man is too frail to escape. He urges the boy to save himself, but Darnak refuses, as he exposits that Papa is the only family he has left. Just then, a fleshy tentacle slithers up behind them, and then snatches the old man around the throat.
Oh no.
Darnak tries to pull his Gramps free, but the tentacles throw him backward, where he cracks his skull on the floor and instantly dies. Just kidding, he has a name, so he wakes up later. And he finds the hallway empty, except for Peepaw's cane, and he swears vengeance.
On the tentacle.
On the tentacle monster.
I'm sure that tentacle has a comprehension of what vengeance is.
Len does this to get the reader invested in a story about characters that we've never met and have nothing to do with Thor, which isn't terrible as a literary device, but the way he does it just doesn't get an emotional response from me. There's no subtlety or nuance here, and he's done something similar a few times already, so it just feels like he's beating me over the head with a sign that says, "You should care about this."
Yeah,
and I don't.
Remember, what was it?
Derek.
The future civilization.
Yes.
That's Derek, right?
Yes, that was Derek. Yes, I mean pretty much this exact thing happened with Derek.
So yeah, we've been here before, and we'll be there again!
In the interim, our party has boarded the Ark. Don't ask how. They have entered a section that appears to be uninhabited, and as they wander in search of life, Volstagg decides to push a random button that he finds.
Oh no.
His reasoning is that aimlessly wandering won't get them anywhere, but if he starts messing with stuff, someone will probably notice. Which is a fair point, but also a pretty dangerous game to be playing on a strange alien spacecraft.
Maybe if I press this rusting button, it will turn out to be the doorbell.
Now, to be fair, for anyone else, they might get spaced, but these
Yeah,
are...
the Asgardians will be fine.
Exactly. So, realistically, is it actually that dangerous for them?
No.
No, it's just dangerous for everyone else.
The button causes a nearby wall to slide up with a terrible sound effect. Squeak.
Get your oil in there. Someone needs to oil up that space door.
Revealing several security robots, which immediately identify the intruders and open fire.
Huh.
These robots are in pretty bad shape. They haven't been maintained very well, so they don't pose much of a threat to our Asgardian heroes. However, it's not a Thor comic if we don't turn Sif into a damsel, so she gets shot with a laser, and it hurts her.
Damn it.
I guess. The lads form up around the lady while several of the bots try to keep Thor from using Mjolnir, as they identified it as a threat, which is a pretty good call for random security droids.
That's kinda neat.
Kind of intelligent. He throws them all off and is about to go Wreck-It Ralph on their asses when a voice commands them all to stop. So this is Rel Store? the first citizen of this ship. First citizen is a term that was also used in the Zarko story that got retconned with Derek, and I'm not really sure what it's supposed to mean.
I think we're supposed to be talking like...
He's the head bitch in charge.
Well, yes,
Yeah.
obviously that, but I mean, like, specifically.
Roman terms.
No, I just, like, specifically governmentally, like, what is that supposed to signify to me other than that he's in charge, you know?
I think that's about it. I don't think this is deeper than that.
Len thinks it means something, but he never explains.
Why do these speech bubbles need 2 tails?
Good question. Whatever. Relstor is here, and so is our pal Darnak. They send the security robots away and ask the Asgardians what they want. Also, they name drop the ship, which is Leviathan. So just remember that's the name of the ship.
Leviathan.
Or Leviathan.
So it's like someone misspelled Leviathan on purpose.
Basically. Thor begins to explain, but then his attention is called to Sif, who suddenly faints. Thor yells at her as if that's going to help, and Fandrel's like, bro, chill. Let's interrupt this for some good old-fashioned Asgardian drama.
Yeah, we haven't had that in a while.
I guess when Thor told Baldur to guard the throne, he took that quite literally, and has been sitting next to the actual throne ever since.
He's a very straightforward guy.
It's true. No nuance. Carnilla urges him to rest, then suggests that if he's taking his job so seriously, maybe he could try sitting on the throne instead of next to it.
No, revolutionary Baldur would rather destroy the throne than sit in it.
No gods, no kings, no masters.
Just only man?
Yeah.
Wait, but I'm a god. I can't, that doesn't work.
It's fine, it's fine. Of course, Baldur...
Yes, gods, no kings,
No
no masters.
No man.
Of course, Baldur the Brave would never do such a thing. The Norn Queen compliments his humility while thinking to herself that she's going to change that.
Oh,
Why?
I can change him.
I can-
Asterisk
I can
for
make
the
him worse.
Isn't that one of the things she loves about him, though? She likes how good he is.
She likes a challenge.
She can make him worse.
It's a project. Derogatory.
Yes. It always has been.
At that very moment, the guard from the northern gate stumbles in with bad news. They're under attack. Frowny face.
Is it ants again?
Some unnamed enemy fucked this guy up and sent him here to tell Baldur that they're coming.
Look, one time it was ants and the whole civilization was enslaved, so I'm not actually impressed.
No, Baldur's here. They could beat the ants.
Ah.
Baldur could beat the ants. He whispers the name of the attackers, but we will have to live in suspense as Baldur does not relay this information for dramatic effect.
Ah, so that's for a later issue. Okay.
This is what always happens, is we get like 2 pages of Asgard per issue to set up
The next
some other thing.
Story.
Yeah. Back on board the Leviathan, Relstor leads the Asgardians to his people. They're all living together in like a refugee camp with open flames and no privacy, and I really can't help but ask why. Isn't this their spaceship? Did they not design it with living quarters?
Maybe
I know
not.
there's a tentacle monster, but
Why
how does
fire?
how does that lead to this?
That's a good question.
I know Len is just trying to show us that shit is bad, but it doesn't make any sense in this context.
Also, we've done this whole thing before.
Yes.
Literally, this
Yes.
is the same story
Yes.
beats.
Yes.
Only without the future man who's in charge and saying how wonderful it is.
Mm-hmm. Thor hands off the unconscious Sif to a few women because these aliens have rigid gender roles. And speaking of which, Thor regrets bringing Sif on this trip because she's a woman. Fandral points out that she's a warrior just like them and wouldn't have had it any other way.
Good.
Thank you, Fandral.
Thank you, Fandral.
Fandral drinks his respect women juice.
Yes.
I would expect nothing less from him.
Yeah, nothing less,
Yeah.
for sure. Alright, now that the one woman is out of the picture, it's time to get down to brass tacks.
Like, you didn't have to bring her if you were... But no, they had to bring her, because if they didn't bring her, she couldn't get hurt and become useless. She has to become hurt and be useless. It's necessary.
It is.
I hate it.
Everyone moves to some kind of side room.
Why do they have a den?
They just do.
They have a table and everything.
Yeah, and yet
squalor.
their people are like sitting on the ground with campfires
And
shit.
sticks holding up jugs and
Where
cooking
the hell are they
vessels.
getting sticks in the middle of this
Great fucking
spaceship
question.
anyway?
That's the best question.
I don't understand any of this.
Because this
isn't the last thing that's not going to make sense about this situation.
they have pots and like these vessels and sticks.
Pots and stuff I can understand. Maybe there are pots on the spaceship.
Okay,
Right.
but sticks to hold up things.
Sticks I don't understand.
Yeah, I don't know.
Sticks make a hell of a lot less sense than pots to
I
me.
have no idea what the fuck is going
Well,
on here.
Okay, let's go on the hypothesis that this is actually a world ship. Everything that a civilization would need to go from one star system to another. That would have trees, which would offer sticks.
Potentially.
And sitting rooms.
If Len had thought it through that much.
But I don't think Lynn thought it through that much.
No. So they move to the den, where Relstor explains that his people are being hunted for sport by a demon named Spore, with 2 R's, because that makes it extra cool.
It's in space. That's why he's got 2 R's.
He doesn't actually give any details about this thing, like what it is or where it came from or how it got here. But when asked, he says that they tried sending those security robots after it, and they always get creamed.
Well, that's not really that impressive.
Right. They're kind of rust buckets. Darnak jumps in to yell about his pappy and suggests that the Asgardians can deal with it. It's not a hard sell, as we all know, but hey, let's go ahead and use Sif as a plot device to really make it clear that Thor is going to help. The ladies who took her have done what they can for her, wound. I have no idea what actually happened or what
Beams.
hurt
Seemed like
her.
fuck all happened.
Yeah, she doesn't have, like, a mark or a wound or anything.
So no one told the art team.
They leave to get water from the water pit, which again makes me question what the hell these
Water
people
pit?
were thinking when they designed this ship. They say water
They
pit.
say-
I
water.
understand they say water pit. I just don't understand
Yeah.
the water pit.
I don't know. They designed this ship
It-
without sinks, I
it's
guess.
somewhere near the den. It's got, let's see, we've got sticks, we've got a water pit, we have open flames, and we have a den.
And robots.
And robots, yes. And squeaky doors.
So they leave to get water. Once alone, Sif wakes up and decides to stumble around while looking for Thor.
Great.
Great plan. She makes her way into an adjoining hall where she is immediately captured by a tentacle. But I guess the team is right there because they respond immediately.
So this is just gratuitous tentacle Sif time, right?
Yeah. Well, no.
You know, it's not that gratuitous, actually. Like, we see much more gratuitous stuff in the future.
All the boys start fighting the tentacles with mixed results until one of the fleshy appendages digs into a panel on the ceiling to send an avalanche of debris down on top of them.
What?
This is way more debris than should have been in this ceiling, and it looks more like rocks than spaceship parts.
Yeah, what?
I'm starting to question if Len knows what a spaceship is.
I don't know.
So yeah.
Maybe we don't know what a spaceship is on this planet.
Maybe only Lynn...
Maybe we
I
don't
don't
know
know.
what a spaceship is.
It really feels like Len wrote this as if it was happening in like a cave or something, but then he was like, oh yeah, they're in space. Ugh. Anyway.
And it looks almost like the art team had no idea
Damn
what
it,
they
we
were
can't
supposed to...
have this on another asteroid.
Yeah.
It's like the art team didn't know what they were supposed to be drawing.
Well, I don't know what they were supposed to be drawing either. Sif has been kidnapped, and Thor vows to find her and kill Spore. Woohoo. What do you guys rate this one?
We've already done this before, and that was slightly more interesting because they were working for the bad guy.
Yeah.
2.5.
I'm not sure I want to give it more than a 2, honestly.
I'd give it a 2. What do you think it's on CMRO?
3.
At best.
2.96.
Damn.
I was pretty close.
You were very close.
Who did the cover on this one?
I will tell you, this issue is Thor number 257 from December of 1976, written by Len Wein, penciled by John Buscema, inked by Tony DeZuniga, colored by Glynis Wein, lettered by Condoy, and the cover is by Jack Kirby.
Oh, wow. Someone...
Yep, Condoy.
Condoy!
I don't know, I like this cover.
It's
dynamic.
I'm not sure...
It's got a lot going on.
It's got some very thick lines on that face.
That's Jack.
I like it.
I like it.
Everything draws your eye right to the center where Thor is.
You're not wrong.
All these lines kind of all draw your eye to the center, and that's where you need to be.
He definitely had a singular talent, didn't he?
Yeah, he's iconic.
Yes.
So the recorder spends the first 2 pages here recapping what's going on.
Why?
Because that's his job.
Yes, but why are we spending 2 pages?
Yeah, it's cool, I guess. It's a cool way to recap, but it seems like a waste of 2 pages to me.
Or did they go short?
Everyone stands around talking about what to do for a minute. Then, his name is Railstore, but as I was writing this, Google Docs kept autocorrecting it to Realtor. So I'm just gonna start calling him Realtor.
You gave up on the rename.
Realtor starts leading the Asgardians to go find Spore. Then his wife runs up out of nowhere to beg him not to do that because she's emotional, like women are.
What's going on with her hair?
I don't know. He insists that he has to, and I don't see a point for this interaction except as another attempt to make me care about these characters.
It's a bird.
Also, I noticed all the text is italicized.
Condoy.
Condoy did this.
Every time Len interrupts the story to insert some emotional bullshit that I don't care about, I care less.
Why is this bird wife interrupting the story?
Why should I care about her? Or Realtor, for that matter. She has a name, by the way. What is it? It's,
Charmin.
Yeah, Charmin, like the
oh
toilet
my
paper.
God, that's actually worse.
His bird wife, Charmin.
Realtor and his bird wife, Charmin. As they walk, the recorder asks a question that we've all been thinking. Why are these people living like they're out on the fucking range when they're in the middle of a goddamn spaceship? Railstore says that they once lived on a utopian world where all the work was done by robots, and the people were free to do whatever because their needs were met. But their lavish lifestyle swiftly depleted the natural resources of the planet, and they found themselves facing extinction. So they made the Leviathan to save as many people as they could.
So Lynn knows what a world ship is supposed to be.
So that explains the scaling issues I had in the last issue. The ship doesn't hold everyone from their planet, just a certain number of people who were picked via a lottery system. Honestly, it seems like they can't have gotten a huge amount of people on here. Maybe the population of a city, at best. I would question why they couldn't do more than that, but I'm just going to assume they had an insane crunch, so we can all move on with our lives. After escaping, the people on board the Leviathan just kept partying and chilling while the robots did everything, right up until the point where the robots started breaking down because nobody was doing maintenance on them.
Oh, good.
Why couldn't they program the robots to do maintenance on each other?
Because then the robots could unionize.
Unclear. Anyway, eventually all the robots broke and nobody was maintaining the ship's engine, so they stopped moving. Floating stagnantly in space, they could do nothing to avoid the meteor shower that brought Spore. And I guess the engine was just the propulsion and somehow their life support is still working. They still have some kind of power going, right? Otherwise that button Volstagg pressed earlier wouldn't have done anything. So that doesn't really explain why they're living in a hallway with campfires and a water pit. Well, that backstory was just long enough for the group to catch up with the plot. Up ahead, they see the shadows of long tentacles on the walls.
You know, if this thing continuously keeps going after the infirm, why don't we just keep the infirm, the old and infirm, together and just, never let them away from the group?
No, we have to let the old and infirm go far away to where they can be picked off one by one. Otherwise, there's no plot.
Well, and also, I mean, maybe they're intentionally doing it, like how the Vikings used to send their old people on icebergs into the ocean.
Wait, what?
Oh yeah, they did that.
Why?
Not all the time. Well, because they use up resources and don't contribute anything.
Oof.
Not all the time, but yeah,
That
sometimes it happened.
That explains some Norse country behaviors.
Yep. The Asgardians rush forward with a war cry, but once again the creature collapses the corridor on top of them. I feel like I'm in hell. Like, it's just the same thing over and over. And it doesn't even feel like there's any point in analyzing it.
Is Baldur going to be tempted with a throne again? Please tell me Baldur's going to be tempted with a throne again.
There's no fucking reason. Cut to Asgard, where other things are happening. Baldur and Karnilla have climbed up to a tower, and now look out upon an invading army. They don't know who this army is or where it came from, and what's more, the warriors themselves appear to be frozen, having stood in one spot for hours. Sounds weird and stressful, and that's pretty much how Baldur's feeling right now. And that's it for Asgard. Back to the A story, everyone's fine.
Well, it looks more like machinery now, I guess.
Some of it.
Hey, well, more than the last time.
Right.
I think the artists now know this is not supposed to be dirt or rocks.
Like Atlas holding the world, Thor lifts the fallen rubble on his own two shoulders while his friends save the aliens trapped with them. Everybody escapes, and Realtor marvels at Thor's power. Where the fuck did these guys come from? Those guys.
The ones in the background?
Why is suddenly everyone here and following them? I thought it was just Realtor and Darnak. What the fuck is happening? Why is the entire population of this ship going with them?
Sacrifice?
They're just picking up looky-loos. It's just all the old people.
They're bringing all the old people with them.
So Spore tries the same trick a third time, smashing our column to stop the advancing party, but the God of Thunder is ready and easily evades it. Seems like he's pretty sick of this shit because he sprints ahead with the Warriors 3 at his heels, and finally they turn a corner to find Spore.
Ew.
So Spore is pretty gross.
Kill it.
He's pretty icky.
Kill it with fire.
I don't like it.
It's like a big, lumpy flesh pile with one huge eye and a bunch of tentacles and warts and
boils and lumps and...
Okay, so here's my theory. They've been not taking care of a whole bunch of shit. So while they weren't taking care of the maintenance on all the robots weren't taking care of something else on the ship, and some kind of waste buildup became sentient, and now we have Spore.
That would be interesting.
That's a better idea than Lynn probably had. Well, think about it this way. These people left because of their own hubris. If this is a product of their own hubris, like
that
directly,
would be interesting, yes.
Directly a literal product of their own hubris, that would...
apathy.
And apathy. That would actually make the whole plot kind of circular and...
Yes.
I know I'm not going to get my way. I know I'm not going to get my way. I'm
not.
Just saying.
I will say, I'm not going to tell you guys how you should feel about it. I think what Len is going for is not a bad idea, but I don't think he did it good.
He doesn't know how to do what he's trying to go for.
So I feel like in a modern style, this thing would be pretty
gross,
terrifying and disgusting.
Yes.
Not that it isn't gross looking here, but you can definitely see where the limitations of the era made it probably a bit less intimidating than it was intended to be.
It looks like a evil pile of mashed potatoes.
This is something that would end up in Venom.
Like, this is an extant threat, some kind of non-Euclidean life form that defies understanding, but I'm less intimidated than I am grossed out.
Mostly I want it killed with fire. Lots and lots of fire.
Well, you're in luck, because the Asgardians start fighting the monster, while the aliens stare in shock. We don't know what these people are called, by the way. It's never brought up.
Oh, fun.
While they stare in shock, wanting to help, but unable to muster their resolve. As they fight, Thor begins to notice that the tendrils grabbing him are only pushing him away rather than crushing him outright. He wonders why that would be, but then pushes the thoughts away with grim determination. This creature stole Sif and countless others, and it must be destroyed.
Oh, is there actually a tragedy here?
Spoilers for the next few pages, I guess. This story reminds me of a much better Doctor Who episode.
New or old?
Relatively?
After 2005 or before 1989?
After.
Okay.
After minutes of pointless struggling, Thor calls for his friends to retreat as he musters up his power and begins blasting the beast with lightning. The mass of flesh squirms and screams, but eventually succumbs and falls silent. Not dead, just stunned. Or not dead yet, I should say. Seeing the monster defenseless, Realtor orders his people to rush in and finish the deed.
Cowards.
Despite Thor's objections, they all start stabbing Spore with spears, which I guess they have.
It's the best they could muster.
Yeah, but when did they have spears? And why did they not use the spears before?
I mean, they've never been shown with spears, but they have sticks.
Right. It's all the sticks were just spares.
They were just spears that were resting.
Are you okay?
All sticks are just spears that are resting.
So yeah, they kill it. And Realtor doesn't regret his actions. This beast murdered his people, and would have continued doing so. It was only right that they defend themselves. Thor agrees. But he's noticed that Spore was blocking a door down the hall. Guarding it, perhaps. He stalks forward, eager to see what the monster was hiding, even if it's only the mangled remains of its victims. He tears the metal door out of its frame to reveal a verdant garden filled with people very much alive and well. Sif herself is there, healed, and all too happy to see her prince. Thor asks her if the monster harmed her, but to his confusion, she claims that Spore took very good care of her. She asks where Spore is, to which the Odinson responds that he was slain, news that the Lady Sif finds saddening. Apparently, as she explains, Spore was the last of his kind, a sad and lonely being who only wanted to help, and so when he saw the people on this ship living in such squalor, he created this garden in the midst of the wasted technology of Leviathan.
Interesting.
I don't know how the tentacle monster did this, but I'm just gonna roll with it. He then took all the old and ill people and brought them here to care for them so they could live out their remaining days in peace.
That almost works. Also, I'm not a huge fan of this thing just deciding, nope, I'm stealing these people and putting them somewhere else. Agency, they don't get agency. They don't get to have consent.
I don't mind it from a story perspective
and also,
because it's interesting.
I mean, I have no problems with the concept. I have problems with the execution.
Yeah.
The execution is definitely lacking. Everyone is shocked and horrified by this news, after their confusion and fear drove them to slay the apparently gentle beast. And, yeah, sure, I guess, but, it was stealing people without explaining or trying to communicate, and it also did try to smash them with rocks.
Imagine if Spore had actually been in dialogue with these unnamed people. The whole time. Imagine that had been happening, and Thor comes along and doesn't know about that.
It had tentacles. It could have picked up a stick and wrote something on the ground.
Does Spore understand language?
Thor does.
Does Spore?
I mean, I would assume.
It seems...
Well, it seems like Sif communicated with it somehow.
I'm not sure I want to know how that happened.
I have a lot of questions, and we're not getting answers, so...
And I could make this story so much better.
Everyone could make this story better.
You're right.
It wouldn't be hard.
It's not hard. We've already come up with, 4 different ideas that would be better than what was executed here.
Well, wipe it from your brain. It doesn't matter anymore, because little do they all know, a new threat is fast approaching. A warship of sorts, manned by a crew of varied alien races united in the goal of conquest. They have found a new vessel to raid, and they turn to their commander to receive orders. Standing on the bridge, the Grey Gargoyle declares that they will do as they always do, board the ship, and fuck up everyone in their path.
Fucking why? Also, was the last time we saw the Grey Gargoyle underneath the Hudson River, or did something happen?
I don't remember.
I don't know who this is.
I don't remember what happened to him last time he was in Thor. I remember...
The Grey Gargoyle, when he touches people, they turn into stone.
Yeah.
Or anything, I think.
Yeah, anything. He can turn things into stone. Last time he was here, he was trying to steal Thor's immortality somehow.
That's weird.
And he didn't understand how that worked. And I don't remember what happened to him at the end of that, so.
Fun.
But he's in space now.
For some reason.
With a bunch of space pirates.
For some reason.
I assume something happened to him between then and now, because that was like...
Yeah, this seems like a drastic change.
I feel like that was like a decade ago, that comic that he was in, so it was a while.
Yeah,
that seems like quite a drastic change from the last appearance of the Grey Gargoyle.
In Thor.
That would explain why I don't remember him.
Yeah, you were not on the show when we read that issue. So.
I listened to all the episodes back when they were just listenable.
That doesn't mean you remember it.
Yeah.
You barely remember the ones that you were in.
That's fair. I forget a lot of things a lot of the time. Okay, this cover rocks.
So this cover is for... Did you guys rate that last issue?
No.
No. What did you rate that last issue?
3.
I don't think it's worthy of a rating.
2.
Yeah, at best, 2.
Okay. Well, we're going to go on to Thor number 258 from January of 1977. Happy New Year.
Yay!
Happy New Year!
Written by Len Wein, penciled by John Buscema, inked by Tony DeZuniga, colored by Glynis Wein, lettered by Joe Rosen, and the cover is once again by Jack Kirby.
He really is quite the talent.
Except for the ones that you hated.
Yes, correct.
So,
he's kind of no longer... Is he still... At this point, he's not doing whole comics anymore, is he?
I don't think so.
That's what I thought.
Jack can be pretty hit or miss.
That's true.
Content warning on this issue for slavery and forced labor. If that's not something you want to deal with, then we'll see you in the next one, I guess.
You won't be missing too much.
No, definitely not.
See you next episode.
So a quick update. The Asgardians have left the Leviathan. The ship that the Grey Gargoyle is closing in on is indeed the Starjammer.
Oh, I thought this was going to be interesting.
Oh, this guy's name is Felon.
Would have been nice to...
Oh, no, he's feline because he's a feline.
Because he's a cat, yeah.
It's a feline felon.
It would have been nice to have received this information earlier, but whatever.
It would have been more interesting if we'd stayed there.
Yeah, also there really wasn't a resolution of any kind for the Leviathan, which isn't bad inherently.
So, it's more of a, this is kind of fucked up, and we're gonna leave.
Yeah, I think the ending of the last issue is definitely the kind of ending that you want to leave somewhat ambiguous, but it does feel weird to me, just on a character level, that Thor would leave that situation.
That's not how Thor has handled things. He doesn't just...
That entire race of people is still stuck on a crippled ship in deep space with no real hope of escape, but the Asgardians just decided to fuck off. That doesn't sound like Thor.
Problem solved? They killed Spore, which wasn't actually a problem at all, but Spore's dead.
Sif laments the death of Spore and is comforted by her man for a hot second, before he reminds everyone that they still have no idea where they're going. And I would remind him that he's the one who took off without asking anyone.
There were probably plenty of people in Asgard.
We've gone over this many times.
And we kind of have to every time they lament that they have no idea where they're going.
The recorder says that they at least know where not to look, and I just am not sure that's even true.
Technically, they know where they...
already looked.
Any place they've already looked is a place not to look.
Yes, but, hear me out. They have no navigation instruments or anything, so I'm not convinced they could get back to either of the places that they were.
Well, if they wish hard enough, I'm sure they'll manage.
When you wish upon a star.
They aren't gods, after all.
So, what now? Don't get your hopes up that this story will get some kind of direction anytime soon, because suddenly they're being boarded. The Grey Gargoyles pirates descend upon the longship with spacesuits and blasters at the ready.
I love that they need spacesuits. I always love that.
These randos are about to regret all their life choices.
I mean, yeah, they were wearing spacesuits and these guys aren't.
you know, that's usually a...
They're on a flying longship in space without spacesuits.
Maybe don't mess with the weirdos who are in a hard vacuum without spacesuits. Maybe don't mess with them.
Flying on a fucking sailboat in a vacuum. It seems like a weird choice. We don't need to get into details on this fight, but it's safe to say that the Asgardians are more than holding their own. Except for Volstagg, who hides and then falls over.
Come on.
The recorder also chops a guy because he can hold his own too.
Oh, he's a robot. The pirates, realizing that this is more trouble than they bargained for, identify Thor as the leader and redirect their forces to take him out.
We just did this with robots.
They do this every time. This is always what they do. This is what they do. They get the whole team to pile on Thor, and they literally dogpile him, and then he throws them off. Every time.
You're not wrong, but
I know
doing
I'm wrong.
it back to back like that?
It's constant, okay? Yeah, he throws them off. One alien takes aim with his neuroblaster.
Beams.
I don't know what a neuroblaster is, but it seems to be a ray gun, so whatever. And the God of Thunder, of course, deflects it with Mjolnir. No beam can stand up to his power,
Of course
I guess. Not. Aboard the pirate vessel, the Grey Gargoyle is astounded. The sheer dumb luck to happen upon Thor in the middle of space is not lost on him.
No, according to him, Thor found him.
The Lion Man here is the first mate, and as Ripley pointed out, his name is Felon because he's a cat.
Yeah.
Because Len is clever. /S. He asks why his captain hasn't gone to face Thor himself, cleverly goading the villain into joining the fray. It seems like our first mate has mutiny on the mind.
You know what? That's probably for the best, considering.
Yeah.
When you're fighting Vikings in space who don't need spacesuits, and you do need the spacesuits, maybe it's time to do a little mutiny.
Outside, the lads are having a good old time. These space pirates are no match for true Viking gods.
Shocker.
They really could not have picked a worse target if they had tried. The arrival of the gargoyle, however, bodes ill for our heroes.
Oh dear, another man who doesn't need a spacesuit.
He immediately turns both Hogan and Fandral to stone, then Volstagg, Sif, and the recorder shortly after.
Oh man, the stream must have stopped.
Damn it. The stream's down.
Stream's down, guys.
Fucking Rigelians are, like, scrambling to find something.
The mods are working hard to try to do something.
Someone's playing copyright.
Finally, he faces Thor himself, prepared to take vengeance for his prior defeat.
On Earth, right? That was on Earth. How did you get here?
Don't know, don't care. The Thunder God runs across the deck, hammer raised high, but quickly comes to a halt as once again Sif is taken prisoner. The gargoyle holds her petrified body aloft, threatening to smash her to pieces unless Thor surrenders. And being the self-sacrificing goober that he is, Thor does so. The gargoyle reaches toward him, but before he can touch the noble hero, it is time once again to check on Asgard.
You know, that bottom half of that page does so much work without Lynn lifting a finger. The art in these is never bad.
Mm-hmm.
It's Lynn that's failing them.
Mm-hmm.
I can see Thor break.
Yeah.
And that's heartbreaking.
Mm-hmm.
But the story isn't worthy of it.
No, definitely not. Baldur is several hours deep into a war council, his attention fully fixed on the task at hand. As he works, Carnilla thinks about how well-suited he is to leadership. All the better for her plan to put him on the throne rather than Odin.
I mean, you could do worse. You could have Odin. That would be worse.
Mm-hmm. Her thoughts are interrupted as she notices movement and calls the attention of her beloved. The invaders have begun to move. They batter at the city gates and seem moments away from breaching them.
Oh, so the war is lost. Okay.
Brave Baldur takes off at a sprint with the Norn Queen on his heels. He has an idea of what's happening and needs to take action immediately, but it's already too late. Even as they reach the doors to the palace, those doors come flying off their hinges to reveal the architects of this attack. the Enchantress and the Executioner. Remember when these two were just Loki's goons?
Yes.
So I guess they've gotten promotions, or?
No, they're not even affiliated with Loki anymore. It's been a hot
They've gone
minute.
into business for themselves.
Oh,
Yeah.
they're independent now. Okay.
It's been a hot minute since we saw them. I think they've been fucking around elsewhere for a while.
Well, they got an army.
Yes, they have an army now. Alright, that's enough interesting stuff. Back to Thor. As we all remember, the gargoyle's petrification only lasts for an hour. You remember that, right?
Yes.
Definitely. Yeah, I remember that.
I do remember that.
I know you would.
I definitely remember
making fun
that.
of John. But that hour was long enough for the Asgardian crew to be bagged and tagged with some extremely chunky chokers.
Yeah.
Chunky joker.
Some people like their chunky jewelry, but I feel like
Well,
even those people would not like that collar. That's like the kind of collar you would see on like a haute couture runway look and be like, what the fuck is that? Of course, our Thunder God isn't going to accept that, and he begins pontificating about how they won't remain prisoners for long, and he's going to tear the collar apart and shove it down the gargoyle's throat.
as he is wont to do.
As he finishes his threat, however, the shackles light up with a pale glow, shooting pain through his body. Apparently, these collars are designed to absorb any force inflicted upon them and turn it back on the wearer threefold, which is at least a slight deviation from the sci-fi slavery shot collar type of thing I was expecting. A momentary setback, but the Odinson is no less determined to make good on his threat.
Yeah, you think this guy is a space ant? He's not capable of taking on Norse gods.
Once he figures out how, that is. And so in the meantime, they all get sent to work in the furnace room, with an assortment of other slaves. Woohoo!
This is in their ship, right?
Yeah!
Why does it...
Have a furnace.
Yeah.
This didn't seem like that big of a ship.
No.
I don't know.
Okay.
Volstagg argues with their captors, refusing to be pushed to manual labor by mere slavers. Of course, this only prompts one of the pirates to punish him with a swift blow to the back. Thor leaps toward the alien to defend his friend, but is stopped by the searing pain from his collar. I thought it only prevented you from taking it off, but no, I guess it does also have a generic shock feature. Without much in the way of options, the Asgardians go to work. At this point in my read-through, I was confused about where the recorder was.
You know what?
So just so you know, he is with them.
He's recording.
He's streaming.
Oh, there!
The stream is back up.
Hey!
Yeah, he is with them. He just hasn't said anything. And it is kind of strange to me that the space pirates would treat him like a normal slave instead of like a material acquisition.
Did they put a collar on him?
Yes.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, he's
That's like if you broke into someone's house to steal their expensive gaming computer and then you just use it to watch Netflix.
But hey, he's still probably streaming.
Yeah.
This is doing numbers.
For sure. Oh, for sure. Chat's going fucking wild. Nearby, one of the other slaves collapses. Weak and bone-thin, he simply doesn't have the physical ability to perform this type of labor anymore. Not that his captors give a singular fuck about that, as they command him to get back to it. Grim Hogan steps up to stop the Taskmaster, intimidating him without even raising a hand. He then turns to help the man off the ground to the astonishment of those nearby.
Okay, so all of these guys are animal guys. I can't help but wonder if these are the High Evos guys that he's run off with or something.
I was wondering that exact same thing. I don't think they are. I think they're just random aliens. But yeah, when I first saw them, I was also like, are these the new men or the Animen or what the fuck
reason
ever?
I was wondering that also is earlier he said our home world, the Grey Gargoyle did.
No, he was referring to him and Thor.
Oh, okay.
I think.
Alright.
I might be wrong about that.
You know, this all could be so much better.
I don't know that would really make it better.
I think it could offer more possibilities.
All of these stories could be better. We know this. We could write them better, but we're not going to. Several slaves gather around in awe of the newcomers, openly hopeful that they may finally have a chance to escape their dire fate. Thor promises them all that they shall be free. But first he wants to know who they are and how they got here. The one who fell introduces himself as Gormok. Just another stellar fucking alien name.
Wonderful.
Gormok. He's the former chairman of the governing council of Centauri 6.
Well, this is not going to be a great part of his resume. But I hope the chairman part is going to still do something.
Yeah.
Unless,
It'll look good so long as they don't call looking for references.
Yeah.
I mean, the part of the problem is he became an enslaved person during that chairmanship.
Well, he doesn't have to put that on his resume.
That's true.
He could just say that he went into, manual labor for a while.
But I feel like anyone Googling will discover exactly what happened, and it's kind of rough that it was his watch.
Well, yeah, but hey, I think he'll just be happy to not be a slave anymore. So one day, like any other day, the Grey Gargoyle ship, which is apparently called the Bird of Prey, which is
Why?
a stupid name.
Come on, guys. Star Trek was using that name by this point. Was using that name in the 60s.
Probably where they got it from. So they arrived, and the pirates made quick and savage work of the people on that planet. Everyone was either captured or killed, and I'm really starting to get the impression that Len doesn't know how many people are on an entire planet.
You know what? I think you're right. Lynn does not know how big a planet is, how many people are on a planet, and how big a spaceship should be.
Maybe it was a very small planet.
Maybe.
That's why their leader was a chairman.
So this is basically what happened to pretty much everyone here. So at least we're not going out of our way to get backstory for each and every one of these randos.
Wait.
Thor tells everyone to get back to work as he comes up with a plan. Once they do so, however, he tries to tell Sif to stop because she's a woman. I'm getting pretty sick of Thor constantly belittling her, seemingly just to draw attention to the fact that she wants to be doing these hard or dangerous things. We get it, Len. She's not a normal woman. She's like...
2 women? Maybe?
Yeah. You can stop this literally anytime.
He's writing it, so yes, he can stop this anytime.
I wish he would. I really wish he would.
He's the one driving the car.
Yeah. Fandral asks the recorder if he's troubled because he hasn't spoken in quite a while. The recorder responds that he simply hasn't had anything to say, and yeah, that's kind of his job, Fandral.
Look, he's not the presenter of this recording. He's just the camera.
Gormok asks Hogan why he shovels such a tremendous amount at a time, to which the warrior responds that he seeks to lessen the load of the weaker slaves. He suggests that Gormok take pointers from Volstagg, who has barely shoveled anything at all since they arrived. That's not even lazy to me, that's just genuinely wise. He's conserving his energy.
Yeah, Volstagg, waste their time. It's actually a good idea.
And as long as he keeps moving...
They don't seem to care, so hell.
Right. Everybody should do that. After a while longer, the Taskmasters bring in a shift change, commanding the Asgardians to rest. Thor refuses, knowing that he and his are much better equipped to endure this labor than the other sad souls who would replace them. The supervisor doesn't care what he wants, however, and so they are herded away to another area for rest. In a absolutely fantastic himbo moment, Sif asks the God of Thunder if he has come up with a plan to save them, after all this time he spent thinking about it. And he responds that he hasn't thought of a goddamn thing, because he has no clue how to deal with the collars they all wear. I love him so much. He's such a well-meaning dumbass, but he just keeps making promises that he has no idea how to fulfill.
This is what happens when you make checks your ass can't cash.
Fortunately, they have a fucking robot.
And nobody noticed.
The recorder pipes in to remind everyone that he's literally an android made to gather information, and he's been studying the collars this entire time to find a release mechanism. As he talks, he reaches for his own shackles and pops it right off. It was literally that easy. The recorder frees his friends and then the rest of the slaves. With their main obstacle removed, Thor eagerly rallies the captured aliens to claim their freedom. But just then, the gargoyle arrives. Dun dun dun! So what would you guys rate this?
2.5.
Yeah.
I'm still at a 2. I'm very sick of all this.
What did Sam Morrow think?
2.82. They're very generous. You got me curious. Now I have to check if these guys are actually... No? Nope. The animal men are straight up just...
Oh my god.
Random aliens that Len made up.
Okay.
So, good to know that they don't matter at all. Yeah. We're actually pretty close to being done with Len, and I cannot fucking wait.
Who's next?
Roy?
Roy. Do we like Roy?
Yes.
Good.
Last time Roy came, he did... he made the pyramid appear
baby.
from under the ground.
Roy loves to bring Egypt back, baby.
Let's bring Egypt back!
That was Roy. Remember how we were doing that really weird and boring story, and then Roy popped in, and then he made a fucking pyramid appear in the middle of California?
I mean, I was kind of digging whatever Odin was on his... I was kind of into that.
It was interesting.
It was. I'm not saying it was great, but it was kind of interesting. And then it became funny when a pyramid showed up.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm just saying, I don't think if that had been left as it was going to go anywhere rewarding. And then Roy showed up and threw a pyramid.
You know what? You're right. That wasn't going to go anywhere rewarding.
So, to answer your question, yeah. At the very least, we know that Roy is going to bring something new to the situation.
You're not wrong. He will not follow the script. And it is a script that Lynn follows. Lynn only knows, 3 things to do with Thor.
It feels like Len is doing, ad-libs. He uses the same one for every story.
I don't think he knows that he's doing the same bits.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure he remembers that he's doing the same bits.
I just don't think he cares.
You know what?
Because Thor was very much a fucking D-lister.
So when did... I know we've got a long ways before we get real
I just don't
rock
think
star
this
talent.
is the right title for him. I mean, remember the stuff we read on Spider-Man, the stuff we read Giant-Size X-Men,
Len
both
can be
fit
good.
him much better.
Yeah.
Len can be good. Len should not be writing Thor. And I don't know if it's because something about Thor, like you said, maybe the world building, or if it is just that Len doesn't care about Thor, because again, Thor was Stan's baby, and Thor was not very popular with the readers.
But since Stan liked him.
Yeah. So, I don't know. But yeah, so that's all I got.
All right, well, that's going to be it for us then this time. Hopefully we're not going to be a full month before we get back to you next time.
Yeah.
We look forward to talking to you next time. Next time I'm going to have something different.
I won't.
But we'll be back with you next time, and we look forward to talking to you then. Bye!
Bye!